Hello everyone, welcome to Learn German Online with Schneider Institute. Today we're going to be looking at Indirekte Fragen, which is indirect question. My name is Christian. So I'm going to try as much as possible to make you understand how the indirect questions work in German. So let's get into this. Now, here we have a couple of questions in German. Now if you look closely here, I have the direct questions here. Now in German, we have the direct questions, but of course, indirect questions simply means we have the direct question as well. So I have the W questions and the yes or no questions. I'm briefly going to talk about the structure of the W question as well as the yes or no questions before I go into the indirect questions. So if you look here, you notice that we have the W word, which is here, van, vo, of course, wir, was, wie, and so on. And we'll have the verb as well, which is conjugated in the second position. Here we have kommen, here we have lent. Verb conjugated in the second position. Now, if you look closely, you notice that the subject is coming after the verb. And of course, the verb is usually conjugated to agree with the subject of the sentence. So the structure simply states that when you're asking a W question in German, you have the W word come first, you have the verb conjugated in the second position to agree with the subject of the sentence. Okay, so this is a W question in German. It's called W question. Why? Because of this. Just like in English language, what is your name? Where are you from? Who are you? Those are W questions, and likewise in German. And over here we have the yes or no question. Ja oder nein Frage. Ja oder nein Frage simply means yes or no questions. And here we have, haben Sie heute Zeit? Are you free today? Obviously, the reason why it's called a yes or no question is because it usually comes with a yes or no reply. So if I say, haben Sie heute Zeit? If it's yes, I'm going to be saying, ja, ich habe heute Zeit. If it's no, I'm going to be saying nein. Heute habe ich keine Zeit. Or nein, ich habe heute keine Zeit. Now the next one we'll have here is, senden Sie der Frau eine Blume? Senden Sie der Frau eine Blume? Are you sending the lady a flower? If you look closely, we'll have the verb, in this case, conjugated in the first position. We'll have the subject, and then we'll have der Frau, which is the indirect object of the sentence, beneficiary of the sentence. Of course, I talked about that in the previous class when we treated dative, that this, in this case, is the indirect object of the sentence, the beneficiary of the action in the sentence. And finally, here we have the direct object, which is the flower. Okay, so having talked about the direct questions in German, we are going to look at the indirect questions in German. Okay, now the first thing I want to let you know is that the indirect question usually comes with what? An independent clause. An independent clause. Okay, and then there's always a question. There's always a question. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the structure of the indirect question in German. Now, if you look closely here, I have the question, I have the W word, I have the subject, I have the object, and then I have the verb. Yeah? Okay, so if you notice closely, you discover as well that here I have the full stop. It doesn't end with a question mark, rather it ends with the full stop. Now, this is a particular example of a direct question like we've talked about earlier on. Wann hat Zeit? Wann hat Zeit? Which simply means, when is he free? Now, we have in an indirect question here below. It says, ich weiß nicht, wann Zeit hat. Now, here I have a W question, and here I have a clause, kind of. Ich weiß nicht, I don't know. And the question is, you don't know what? And I'm trying to reply that question that says, when is he free? And I'm saying, I don't know when he is free. Now, in this case, the verb is no longer conjugated in the second position, as I told you earlier on for W questions. The verb is no longer conjugated in the second position. Rather, the verb is conjugated at the end of the sentence. And the verb still agrees with the subject of the sentence, which is, in this case, is he. So you see, here we have wann hat Zeit, right? And in this case, we simply have this displaced to where? The end of the sentence. So we now have, ich weiß nicht, wann Zeit hat. All right, let's look at further examples. Here, we have another example. This one says, wer kommt zur Party? Wer kommt zur Party? Which simply means who is coming to the party. And here, we have an indirect question that says, ich verrate dir nicht, wer zur Party kommt. Look closely, you notice that we have the comma after this, which means I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you what exactly are you not saying? I'm not telling you who is coming to the party. So we have the W word here. We have the verb removed from the second position and taken to the end of the sentence. But the question is, where is the subject of the sentence here? Because in the previous slide, you saw the subject of the sentence, he, right? But here we don't have the subject of the sentence. Now, the thing is, when you're dealing with the W word wer, which means who, there's usually no subject of the sentence because the question itself is meant to fetch us the subject of the sentence. So in that case, the verb is usually conjugated to either agree with he, she, or it. And of course, if you recall the verb conjugation, you notice that the verb conjugation for he, she, it remains the same. So, which is why we have kommt at the end, conjugated at the end of this sentence. Ich verrate dir nicht, wer zur Party kommt. Now, furthermore, we have, wo hast du das Kleid gekauft? Wo hast du das Kleid gekauft? Which means, where did you buy the dress? Where did you buy the dress? Now, for the indirect question, I still have this in the indirect question, but if you notice, the verb is no longer in the second position, and the verb conjugation as well differs from the actual question. Now, let's look at this. Wo hast du das Kleid gekauft? The subject here is du, which is why we have the verb conjugation hast. But over here we have, ich weiß nicht, wo ich das Kleid gekauft habe. Recall, someone is asking me a question and I'm replying now. I'm saying, I don't know where I bought the clothes or the dress. I don't know where I bought the dress. Now, my verb conjugation would have to agree with the subject, which is ich, I. So, which is why the verb conjugation in this case differs. I don't know where I bought the dress. Don't forget, in this case, we have the sentence in the past, which is why we have gekauft, and then we have the verb habe at the end of the sentence. Now, let's look at the next one we have here. Here we have, verkauft der Supermarkt Orangen. Verkauft der Supermarkt Orangen, which means, is the supermarket selling oranges? Is the supermarket selling oranges? And the response here says, ich habe keine Ahnung. Ich habe keine Ahnung simply means I have no idea. I have no clue. Ich habe keine Ahnung. Ob der Supermarkt Orangen kauft. You notice here, this is no longer a W question. This here is a yes or no question. And if you notice here as well, we simply have ob, which means if. So linking these two statements together, which simply means ich habe keine Ahnung, I have no idea, ob, if. Der Supermarkt Orangen verkauft. So because the subject remained the same from the question to my response, which is why I still have the same verb conjugation here, which is what? Verkauft. Verkauft. Alles klar? Okay, so for the indirect question, it's quite easy to use. You just have to understand the sentence structure. And in the case of the indirect question, you don't forget the comma, and it usually ends with a full stop. All right, so now we've been able to look at talk about the indirect questions in German. Don't forget, you have to understand the sentence structure. The verb is usually displaced to the end of the sentence, and it is conjugated to agree with the subject of the sentence. Don't forget that. For indirect questions, it ends with full stop and not the question mark. Alles klar? Okay, it's only the questions in German, the direct questions in German that have the question mark, W question or yes or no question. Okay, so if you have any question at all from this topic we've talked about today, you can simply write these questions in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can as well follow us on Instagram at Schneider Institute. I would be looking forward to your questions, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. All right. Vielen Dank und auf Wiederschauen, alle.